everybody. Today we're joined by Mr. Arnaud Nicolas, who's the CEO and creative director of Lepe, which is a fabulous clockmaking company based out of Switzerland. Arnaud, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for welcoming me on my product.
Yeah, we're doing a trunk show with Lepe right now at our Hong Kong store, and it'll run until Sunday. Can you tell us a little bit about Lepe and about what you guys do?
Yes, of course. So who is Lepe first? Lepe is a company that has been established by Mr. Auguste Lepe. That's where the name comes from. By the way, Lepe means also a sword. That's why we have a logo with two swords. And as I said, it has been established by Mr. Auguste Lepe in 1839. And back then, they were producing music box and clocks, and also components for others. To give you an example, we are very famous for the escapement, which is the most complicated part. In 1855, Lepe was producing 155,000 escapements a year.
Wow. For clocks or for watches?
For clocks. At the time, there were no watches. You had some pocket watches, but not for clocks.
I see. Okay.
The first carriage clock that became very famous under Napoleon. And we were pretty spread at that time. In fact, any kind of clocks were made. So after some time, Lepe also made a lot of product, a lot of clocks, and they were exhibiting at Universal Exhibition. And they get across those exhibitions 6 gold awards for major improvement, not only on the field of watchmaking, but on mechanics in general. And those kind of recognition you don't get it by watchmaker, you get it by scientists to have made a major advancement in a field, like somehow the Nobel Prize that we have nowadays. And Lepe also was famous for being the official gift of royal court and government. In fact, almost every elite guest was receiving a clock as a gift when they are coming to see the French government or the Royal Court of England or many courts in Europe. So that's how Lepe became known as the brand of the powerful. Because imagine, back then you had no time everywhere. To get time, you only had to have a clock, in a room. So all the powerful people in Earth had a Lepe clock. That because we were supplying all the major royal court and government, as well as the most major industrial. So plus all of the people that received, gift, as our clocks have gift as official gift from government.
And so at the time it was about the craftsmanship, or it's about the accuracy, or both?
It was both, actually. It was not about having something funky as what we are doing now. It was more on reliability and precision. So we are very known for that, but also on quality of the object. That's why even back a long time ago, we had those translucid, we were showing the movement, what we still do, because for me, that's part of our DNA. Having something fully mechanical where you hide nothing.
Yeah.
So, and also very high on the edge of watchmaking, because that was the true DNA of Lepe.
I see. And your background, because you were more from an engineering background, is that correct?
Correct. I'm not a marketing guy, I'm not a sales guy, my background is science. But in fact,
you have a certain streak to you that allows you to make things like this, right? I know you don't like to talk about yourself so much, but...
You're right. For me, I'm only a line under the Lepe name. The Lepe brand. The Lepe has 185 years. We're going to celebrate our 185 years in August.
Wow, congratulations.
So I'm running the company for 15 years. Okay, I launched a new line that is quite famous nowadays. But within the history, right now, it's a line. And that's it. So that's I am nothing more than that. And I hope the company will remain for a long time when I will not be there anymore. Which means that what I have done is, going further. That's the idea behind. It's not about me, it's about the brand and the product.
Well said.
And the collectors. The collectors are more important than me.
That's true.
Because the collectors are the one who allow us to continue to do those crazy objects.
That's true.
Without them, we have no collectors, and the company has nothing. Without me, company can run.
Yeah. Well said.
So I'm just a line somewhere.
Well, I think you're more than a line because these are very unusual objects.
Okay, I'm a crazy line.
Yeah. Start with this. What is this?
Okay, that's one of our objects. It's a clock in the shape of a grenade. And the idea was to make an object not to emphasize the war or the fact that it can mean many things. But what for me was the meaning behind this is meaning behind making a clock in the shape of a grenade was that life is precious and life can be stolen anytime. So it was somehow like using the memorandum modi, but going one step further. The memorandum modi is about life is precious, we should enjoy it. But remember, life is precious, we should enjoy it, but it can also be stolen. So that's why we have done that. And so we pay the escapement up front because it's what is moving, and we all like to see parts moving. By the way, this clock is the exact same size as a real grenade and exact same weight. A grenade, an MK2 grenade of that shape, weight between 600 to 630 grams. We went at 610. So we had a different alloy inside it to reach that weight. And go back to functions, because what we like to do at Lepe is to mix form and functions. So a grenade has one main function, is when you pull out the pin. When you pull out the pin is when you have to see the moment, is when the clock or the grenade can become dangerous. Here it's when the clock becomes alive, because this remain, in fact, doubled as a key. So you rewind it, you get burst. You put it alive by turning the key, and you can set the time with the same key. So it's really the opposite of what usually the pin do on a grenade. And we have very fancy color on this, because for this exemplary, we have a partner with a famous painter, in fact, an artist. And what we did here, to go a little bit further on the funky part, you know, the street art, which is inspiration of this, is now called the bomb art. When they went out of street to playing with many other objects, they call it the bomb art. And what a good example of mixing the bomb art with a grenade. So that's why we decided, and give him a little bit more a funkier aspect of it. So
That's fascinating.
it's quite nice from everywhere you're looking at. Once again, we are not hiding anything.
And there's a lot of moving parts to it as well.
Of course, everything is moving. Everything you have a reflection on some of the parts. It's we like to play with light. That's what is important in life, but also on object.
I see. How long is the power reserve on something like
Power reserve is 8 days.
8 days.
So you rewind it once a week. If you forget, then you have an extra day. It's easy to remember. You know, you rewind it every Monday or every Sunday, or when you want to play with it.
And the fact that the mechanics are open, does that mean extra maintenance, or it's okay if a little dust gets in it and all that sort of thing?
It's okay if a little bit of dust get in it. What we recommend is to use from time to time, like a blower. You know, you have those spears that you can press, and you have some air coming out to blow out the dust. Or to use, even easier, you can buy on internet those air can, pressure air can, and you blow on it a little bit so it take out all the dust. That's the easiest way and the most efficient way to get rid of the dust. And somehow it's like the watch. We recommend a service every 5 years, but there is no obligations. It's always about how precise you want the clock to be. You know, I have one in my office, not that shape, but the same kind of movement that is standing on my desk for 14 years, a little bit over 13 years, and we are just 1 minute of misreading the time per week, which is nothing. It's not nothing, but who live at a minute?
No,
you know?
exactly.
When we have a meeting, we begin to be late at You know, about 5 minutes, people, what are they doing? But 1 minute is okay.
Fair enough. And this is the time fast, right?
Time fast, yes. Time fast is a clock in a shape of a Formula One racing car. So let me turn it around because so that people can see the time display, so they understand it. So you have the time display. First, 1950s, they had a problem of materials. Okay, the car industry had no choice than to go back to wood or to use aluminum. And I wanted to pay a tribute to that because it changed everything in car racing. The aluminum, in fact, all the team found out all the benefits of aluminum, you know, how rigid and how light it is. So to somehow commemorate that, we have used those two parts that are colored, aluminum to build it, to link, you know, our object to that era. And then they are painting. They're painting with different layers. In fact, we have 7 layers, and we polish in between, which give a very nice finish. And we use the official color of that era, because back then, in 1950s, people were not. In fact, the team did not choose the color they were racing under. They were able to choose a number, but the color was per nationality. So all Italians were red, by the way. That's why Ferrari turned to be red. Just move from yellow to red. All the British were running under the green, the British racing green, which is this color. So it's the official color of the British racing green, used by many brands of that time. We also have the gray from Mercedes. We have the blue from the AC Cobra, which is a little bit more in the 60s, but quite nice. And then, as it's a clock, we have display time on the side where we are placed the numeral. You know, you had them on the hood, but you also had them usually on the door or on the side of the car. Big numbers to recognize who was the car, because they all had somehow the same shape. So it was interesting to put the numbers on the side as the number were placed. And then, I have a question for you. What makes a car precise?
What makes a car precise?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know enough about cars.
You know, it's not the engine. It's not the gearbox.
Is it the axle?
It's mainly the driver.
Okay.
First is the driver. You can put a very bad driver in the best car, it will not do anything.
You know, this is why I don't own a car. I'm a terrible driver. Like a terrible, terrible driver. So I don't own a car.
And what makes your watch precise is the escapement.
Yes.
So we mixed all of those by placing the escapement on the seat. So symbolizing the brain of the pilot. The escapement symbolizes the brain of the pilot. With the idea, the accuracy sits on the pilot seat. On top of the escapement, to protect it, we have placed a dome, a glass dome, in the shape of a conical shaped helmet. Because remember, as you can see, there is nothing to protect on the side, and they were using very dusty road with also stone. And we can see some of the driver they were wearing glasses and even had broke glasses during the track. So they were getting some protection with those helmets. They didn't have the helmet we have now, of course. They didn't have the technology. Then, in front of the driver, you always have a steering wheel. So we have, once again, make the link between watchmaking and cars by having steering wheel made in 3 parts. In fact, you have a center rim in stainless steel, and in a car you have 2 wood rims rifted together. What we did here is we have 2 black rims around a center rim in stainless steel, and all rifted with 12 rivets to have the link between watchmaking and car.
I never noticed that detail. It's amazing.
And the steering wheel can turn. What is nice when you turn it is that you can see all the wheels turning. And what does a steering wheel do on a car? It drives direction. Here, it drives the time. That's how you set the time. You have to push a little bit on it to have, to get some friction with your finger, so it doesn't slide on it. So one side, it sets the time, and because I'm picky with details, it's a 3-spoke. At the time, they were using 3-spoke. So you can realign it because the wheels are straight. So one side you set the time, one side you realign it.
That's amazing. Wow.
Then, of course, you have plenty of details. You can the grid in front is with holes, is see-through hole, so you can look at the engine. You have spoke wheel made exactly as they were made at the time. You know, you have spoke wheels that were screwed like they were done at the time. You have 24 spoke that you take out 24 for 24 hours of the day. You take them and you screw them back. And then it's a clock, mechanical clock. So you need some energy. You don't have any batteries in it. So when I was a kid, I didn't have those remote control car. I had those spinning car and the pullback car. So this is a pullback car. It's how you rewind it, by pulling it back. It's a pullback car of our childhood.
It's such a glorious sound too.
And to go back a little bit more on details, you can see on the side, on the bottom, H chassis, which in fact double has the spacer. This is the spacer of the movement that double has the chassis, onto which the housing is bolt. And because I can be really picky, I didn't want that object to look like a toy. I wanted to look like something classy. Some people are saying it's a piece of art. I like that. For me, it's difficult to say it, but because for me, it's the owner. It's that it's not the people that make an object that should say that it's a piece of art or not. It's more the audience to decide if it's a piece of art or not. But the meaning of a piece of art is to express something. We have seen with the grenade, the expression, we can see it here on all of our projects. They all have a history. Because when we design an object, we start with a blank page, and we first have the history, and then we design the movement and the housing all together. We don't do like most of the people are doing in industry, not only watch industry, but car industry, computer industry, any industries. Then they put an engineering team to build up the engine. Once the engine is set and reliable, then they call up the design team to build up a case around it, whatever it is, car, watch, or computer. And then they call up the marketing team to build up a story, to be able to sell it. We start completely at the opposite. We start with the story, what a grenade represents, what a car represents, and what I want to express through it. And then we design it, and we call up the engineering at the end to build up the engine as well as the housing. So if you take out those two parts, the movement is in the shape of a car. You can see the racing car, which is completely from what everyone else is doing in the industry. And as I was saying, I can be picky with details. Those tires. A toy, the tires remain on. Whereas on a real car, they flatten at the contact point with the ground. If you focus here, you will see that when I leave the car, when I put it down, the tires flatten. We went to a historical racing track, and we measured the deformation of a tire. And then I asked my team to find a foam to place it in, because I didn't want people to have to blow some air in. So it's reliable and it's durable. You have a foam that gives you the same deformation as a real track, as the real tires going out of a track, not going in the track, but going out. And many other details.
That is amazing. I mean, thank you for the full explanation, because I actually didn't know a lot of these details. That was really, really fascinating. Okay, what about this? This is your latest masterpiece, and this was an award winner at the GPHG as well, wasn't it?
Correct. So this is Time Fast 2. Why we call it Time Fast 2? Because it's a car like Time Fast 1, but also because it's a double seat. So 2 for double seat, 2 for 2 engine, because you have 2 engines. 1 for an automaton, because there is an automaton, and 1 for the time keeping. So what you have in it, you have the same function as Time Fast 1. meaning the escapement is placed as the brain of the driver. It's a fully different movement because it's not displayed in the same way. You have the time display instead of being on the side. It's on where were placed the air filter on those big V8, because you have a V8 below it, and you have those big air filter on top of usually the carburetor, and so we have time display hours and minutes that you can read, so allow you to read the time. And inside the cockpit, it's where you have many things that is happening. First, the escapement, but we spoke about it already on the first car, so I will not repeat. Same idea. Same idea for the steering wheel. You can see all the movement turning, and the steering wheel also drives the time. But you have something else. You have a dashboard. On the dashboard, what do you have? On any dashboard, first you have some buttons that are symbolizing the very nice 3D engraved steering wheel, but you have a key. What does a key do when you start it? When you turn it, it starts the engine. If I turn the key on the dashboard, the engine starts. You have a V8 with the piston going up and down. And you have a fan, because on those V8, you always have the fan going up and down. Not going up and down, turning when you are starting it. So when you stop it, you can already see the detail of the fan that is handmade by the watchmaker.
And so that's the automaton that you were referring to.
Exact. And what is nice also is to look through it on the bottom. You see?
Oh, wow.
It's quite nice. You can see all the piston going up and down. It's quite amazing. And, because that's not it, I like to sometimes get also the feedback from my collectors. And we have plenty of collectors that told us, I'm playing all day long. I have my time fast one on my office, on my desk, my office. And when it's fully around it becomes to be a little bit, you have a little bit torque on the wheel. What is happening is that it's messing up all the paper. So what we have done on this one, because we have added a gearbox with 3 positions: reverse, neutral, and drive.
Okay.
So if you put it in neutral, nothing happens.
Okay.
You can play with it. You have absolutely no torque on the wheel. You lift it up and can turn.
It spins freely.
Now you put it on drive. And it's a pullback car again. You can rewind it. And you put it in reverse. Then you rewind the second movement, the time movement. And you can see all the wheels turning when you do that. Tires, you also have the same one as the other one. You have a foam inside, but this time much harder. Because in the 50s, they had very poor suspensions and very poor surface on, a lot of dust, a lot of ground. And they had poor suspension. So they needed the tires to use as suspension. Whereas on the 60s, the engine had a lot of torque. So they had to use the tires with much more inflated to avoid them to tear apart. So tires are much stronger. Then we have plenty of other details, like the shape of the car that remind those powerful muscle car. You have also headlights here, not working headlights, but symbolize even the way we have built it. They symbolize the bubble, and plenty of small details.
You've always stuck to mechanical objects only, right? Like you've
Yes.
never wanted to integrate any electronics in something like this.
No, and there is a reason for that. Company is very old, as I said. Not very old. It's old. It's
Pretty old.
100
1839 is pretty old.
It's pretty old. 185 years old. And the oldest clock we have serviced was just turning 180 years. Guys that own it had the paper and everything. Unfortunately, I was not able to buy it. I hope one day, if you listen to me and you want to sell it, please let me know. I will not disclose the name of the owner, but if he will recognize himself. So the idea of a clock is that it can last forever. If I put electronics inside my clock, it will have a life expectancy, because all electronics have a life expectancy. After some time, the electronics, even if you don't use it, will wear out. And after some time, you cannot find the component anymore, because the way they are built do not allow you to rebuild them later on. Those components that we are using it, you will always be able to rebuild them, or to ground a wheel. You can always be. You just need a sheet of metal, and then you rebuild your wheel. So it can take time, but it will be able to be done.
Fantastic.
And that's my idea, is that this is an object that you can pass to the next generation. It can go from generation to generations.
Wow.
That's the way it has been built.
Hats off to you. It's just awesome. Like, I would love to have one of these in my house. I'd have one of these before I would actually own a real car.
It's a nice object, yes.
How did you come up with this idea, actually?
I don't know. Sometimes it pops up in my mind, usually when I'm home. And, at night, I'm not someone that is... I don't sleep much, let's say it this way. So at night, when the house is quiet, usually I'm waking up, going in my office, and start to work on ideas, drawing sketches. And so I have plenty of sketches I never use. I have some that I use, and it's what I like to do. When everything is quiet. It's where the creativity comes.
Well, it's a beautiful object. Congratulations to you. Thank you so much for your time. This has been such a privilege to be able to talk about these things at greater detail, from the person who's behind it all. So, folks, if you'd like to know more, please check out Lepay's website or come by the Trunk Show. It's all weekend. And that's it for now. Arnaud, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Mark. And you're welcome. If you want to come, you're welcome here.
That's for now, and thanks for watching.